They say you can't be in two places at once, but when you're an identical twin, you can be someone else entirely. My sister's husband nearly killed her, twice. The first time with his hands around her throat, the second time with a match and gasoline when he realized I wasn't her. You want to know how I survived that night, Captain Mitchell? How I walked out of that burning house while her husband tried to make sure no one ever found my body? Everyone thinks this story is about domestic violence, but that's not where this fire started. The real fire started 4 years ago, when my twin sister married a man who looked perfect on paper but turned out to be a monster. And it ended the night I took her place and showed him what happens when you pick on someone who fights back. If you've ever felt helpless watching someone you love being destroyed, you'll understand this story. Subscribe and comment where you're watching from. My name is Nicole Shafer, and I'm 28 years old. I teach kickboxing at a gym near my home. I've spent my entire adult life teaching people how to defend themselves, how to fight back, how to never be a victim. But none of that training prepared me for the sound of my twin sister knocking on my apartment door at midnight on a Tuesday. 3 sharp raps. Desperate. Urgent. I opened the door and my sister Crystal stood in my hallway, swaying like she might collapse. Her left eye was swollen shut, deep purple turning black. Her bottom lip was split, crusted with dried blood. But the worst part were the bruises on her neck. Dark fingerprint-shaped marks wrapped around her throat, showing exactly where someone's hands had been, where someone had squeezed. "Nicole," she whispered. Then her knees gave out. I caught her before she hit the ground, pulled her inside, slammed the door. My hands were shaking as I guided her to my couch. She was trembling all over, making these tiny gasping sounds like she couldn't remember how to breathe. "Who did this?" I asked, even though I already knew. Crystal just cried. We're identical twins, born 7 minutes apart. I was always the fighter. She was softer, kinder. She saw the good in everyone, believed people could change. I became a kickboxing instructor. She became a kindergarten teacher. 4 years ago, Crystal met Ted Warren at a charity event her school hosted. Real estate developer, 32, came from money. Nice smile, perfect manners. I met him at their 3rd date and knew immediately something was off. There was something in his eyes when he looked at Crystal, something possessive, like she was a thing he'd acquired rather than a person he loved. I told Crystal my concerns. Big mistake. She got defensive, said I was being overprotective. We fought for the first time in our lives. They got married 10 months later. Quick. Ted said, "When you know, you know." After the wedding, I saw less and less of Crystal. Phone calls became shorter, visits stopped happening. There were always excuses. But I'm her twin. We've always had this connection, this sense of each other, and I could feel something was wrong. The warning signs were small at first. Crystal wearing long sleeves in July, that hollow look in her eyes, the way she'd flinch if someone moved too quickly. 3 months ago, I saw her at the grocery store. I hugged her and she winced, said she'd pulled a muscle at the gym. But Crystal didn't go to the gym. Then came that knock at midnight. Now she was on my couch and I was getting ice for her face, trying not to shake with rage. "Talk to me," I said quietly. "Tell me everything." It took almost an hour. The words came out in broken pieces. How it started with small things. Ted criticizing her clothes, her cooking, her friends. Then came the yelling, the controlling, tracking her phone, making rules about where she could go, who she could see, what she could spend money on. Then the pushing started, the grabbing, the slapping. Always where people couldn't see, always with threats. Tonight had been the worst. Dinner was late because Ted came home without telling her. He grabbed her, shook her, then his hands found her throat, squeezed. She saw darkness closing in. Thought this was how she'd die. Then he let go, threw her against the wall, told her if she ever tried to leave, he'd make sure no one ever found her body. He had connections, money, lawyers. Who would believe her? "I believe you," I said, holding my sister. "And he's going to pay for this. Beat 2, the plan." Crystal fell asleep around 3 a.m. I sat in my kitchen in the dark, staring at nothing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those bruises on her neck, those fingerprints. Call the police? Crystal had no evidence except injuries, and Ted would have his story ready. His house had security cameras he controlled. His family had money for the best lawyers. Any case would disappear, and Crystal would end up right back in that house, only angrier now, more dangerous. Then I caught my reflection in the microwave door, saw my face, Crystal's face, our identical face. The idea hit me like lightning. What if we switched places? What if I went back to that house as Crystal and confronted Ted myself? I was trained. I knew how to fight. More importantly, I wasn't afraid of him. Let him try to put his hands on me. When Crystal woke up, I told her my plan. Absolutely not, she winced. Nicole, no. He's smart. He watches everything. He'll know. He won't know. Crystal, we're identical. We've fooled people our entire lives. If he figures it out, he could kill you. Then I'll make sure he doesn't figure it out. I took her hands. You can't go back there. But if I go back as you, if I'm inside that house, I can get proof. Real proof that will put him away. You don't know what it's like. The rules, Nicole. He has so many rules. Then teach me. She stared at me for a long moment. Where would I go? Aunt Linda's place, 2 hours away. You'll be safe. Something changed in her eyes, some tiny spark of hope. You really think this could work? I know it will work. Trust me. We spent the next 2 days preparing. Crystal taught me everything. Coffee at exactly 6:30 a.m., 2 sugars, cream heated 20 seconds. Dinner ready at precisely 6:30 p.m., not 6:25, not 6:35. She wasn't allowed to password protect her phone, had to ask permission before spending money. Certain friends were allowed, others weren't. She showed me the house layout, the security system Ted controlled from his phone, his schedule, his moods, his triggers. Don't contradict him, Crystal said, even if he's wrong. Just apologize and agree. It's easier that way. That's not living, that's surviving. I know. Her voice was so quiet, but that's all I've been doing for 2 years. She taught me her mannerisms, how she'd started making herself smaller, keeping her eyes down, her voice soft, how she moved carefully, trying not to make noise, how she flinched at sudden movements now. I practiced until I could walk like I was trying not to take up space. We worked on my hair. Crystal's was shorter now, a bob instead of my ponytail. She cut mine to match. She showed me the makeup she used to cover bruises. She'd gotten too good at it. On the second night, Crystal pulled out a small box. Inside was $2,800 in cash. My escape money. I've been saving for 8 months, taking $20 from grocery money. I was going to run. I just never found the courage. You found the courage to come to me, I said. That took everything you had. The morning I was supposed to go back, I drove Crystal to Aunt Linda's house. Our aunt pulled her into a tight hug and promised to keep her safe. The relief on Crystal's face almost broke me. Now I was alone in Crystal's car, driving toward the Warren house. My hands gripped the steering wheel tight enough to hurt. In the driveway, Ted's black Tesla. He was home early. I checked my face in the mirror one more time. Soft expression, scared eyes, submissive posture. Let's see how you like fighting someone who fights back, I thought. Then I walked toward the front door of my sister's prison. Inside the prison, the house was freezing. Not temperature-wise, but in feeling. Everything looked perfect, like a magazine spread. Cream walls, expensive furniture, but no warmth, no personality, no life. I set my purse on the bench by the door, not the table. Rules. Everything was rules here. I could hear Ted on a phone call down the hall, laughing. The sound made my skin crawl. This was the same voice that had threatened my sister. The living room looked like a showroom. White couch, glass coffee table, everything positioned just so. The kitchen counters were completely clear, not a dish out of place. Upstairs, the bedroom closet told me everything. Ted's clothes took up 3/4 of the space. Crystal's things were crammed into one small corner, like she was a guest in her own home. I heard footsteps on the stairs. My whole body tensed. Training kicked in automatically. Assess the threat, find exits, prepare to defend, but I forced myself to relax. I was supposed to be Crystal. Scared Crystal. Submissive Crystal. Ted appeared in the doorway. Tall, maybe 6'2", well-built. Dark hair styled perfectly. Expensive watch. Handsome in that polished, too-perfect way. But his eyes. Cold, calculating, studying me. "You're home early," he said. Already testing. I kept my eyes down. "I'm sorry, should I have stayed out longer?" "Where were you?" "Grocery store. Getting things for dinner." He stared at me for a long moment, searching for anything wrong. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral, scared, but trying to please. "Fine," he finally said. "I have more calls. Dinner at 6:30. "Of course. What would you like?" "Figure it out. That's your job, isn't it?" He walked away. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. First test passed. The afternoon crawled by. I made dinner, constantly checking the clock. Chicken, roasted vegetables, rice. Simple. I set the table exactly how she'd shown me. Fork on the left, knife and spoon on the right, water glass at 1 o'clock. At 6:30, he walked into the dining room, looked at the table, looked at me. "It smells bland," he said, sitting down. "I'm sorry, I can add more seasoning." "Don't bother, I'll eat it." He took a bite, chewed slowly, deliberately. "It's dry." "I'm sorry." "You always apologize, but nothing changes. Why is that, Crystal?" "I'll do better, I promise." He ate in silence, and I barely touched my food. Every nerve screamed that I was in danger, sitting across from a predator. "You're moving differently today," he said suddenly. My blood went cold. "I don't know what you mean." "Your posture is different." He set down his fork. "Something you want to tell me?" "No, I'm just tired." "Tired? Did you talk to anyone today? Your sister, maybe?" "No, just the store." "That's good, because you remember what I said about your family. They try to turn you against me. It's better if you limit contact." I wanted to launch across this table, but I swallowed it down, nodded, apologized again. After dinner, I cleaned up while he watched television. Around 9, he turned off the TV. "I'm going to bed. Don't stay up too late." Like I was a child who needed a bedtime. My phone buzzed. A text from Crystal, from Aunt Linda's number. "Are you okay?" "Fine. He doesn't suspect anything yet." "Be careful, please." I deleted the messages. Ted checked her phone every night. Around 10, I went upstairs. Ted was in bed reading his tablet. I went to the bathroom, changed into pajamas, came back out. That's when he grabbed my arm. His hand clamped around my wrist, hard, yanking me toward the bed. "I saw you texting," he said quietly, his grip tightened. "Who was it?" "Just Aunt Linda. She wanted to check in." "I told you to limit contact with your family." His fingers dug in harder. "Do you think I'm stupid?" "I'm sorry, she just sent a message. I didn't want to be rude." He pulled me closer. "You belong to me. This house, your phone, your life, all of it belongs to me. Don't forget that." Then he let go, pushed me away. "Go to sleep." I climbed into bed, my arm throbbing. In the darkness, I thought about Crystal enduring this for 2 years. "Not much longer," I promised silently. Gathering evidence. The next week was psychological torture. Ted didn't just control Crystal's life, he orchestrated it. Every detail, every moment had to meet his standards. Good days where he brought expensive gifts, flowers, jewelry, each felt like chains. Bad days came without warning. A towel hung wrong, taking too long to answer, looking at my phone. Each infraction resulted in punishment, verbal contempt or physical violence. Once he twisted my arm behind my back until I cried, all because I'd bought the wrong brand of coffee. But I was documenting everything. Crystal had bought a camera pen months ago, too afraid to use it. I wasn't afraid. On day 3, I found what I was looking for. The locked drawer in his nightstand, key hidden inside a hollowed-out book on the shelf. Inside was a folder with Crystal's name, screenshots of text messages, GPS tracking data showing everywhere she'd gone for a year, notes about her activities, who she talked to, how long. He'd been surveilling his own wife like a criminal suspect. Bank statements showed Crystal's name on accounts she couldn't access, every purchase tracked. I found the grocery receipts where she'd been skimming $20 at a time. He'd highlighted them, written question marks. He knew. I photographed everything with the camera pen. Underneath the folder, an unsent letter, handwritten, addressed to Crystal's principal. He'd fabricated concerns about her mental health, her fitness to work with children. The threat was clear. If she ever left, he had weapons prepared to destroy her reputation, her career, her credibility. That evening, while Ted thought I was grocery shopping, I met Monica Hayes, a domestic violence advocate Crystal had consulted once. I sent her all the photos from the drawer before the meeting. "This is good," Monica said, reviewing the evidence. "But his lawyers will argue the surveillance was protective. We need him to explicitly threaten or admit to abuse on record." I knew that wasn't enough. Ted's family had lawyers. They'd make it messy, expensive, drawn out. I needed him to confess. Beat 5, the fire. Day 7 started differently. Ted came home early, around 5. I heard his Tesla in the driveway and my stomach dropped. The front door opened, his footsteps heavy and deliberate. He appeared in the kitchen doorway. His tie was loose, his face flushed. He'd been drinking. He was looking for a fight. "This place is a mess," he said, even though I'd spent 2 hours cleaning. "I'm sorry. I'll clean more." "You're always sorry." He walked into the living room. "Sorry doesn't fix anything." He found a magazine on the coffee table. "What's this doing here?" "I was reading it. I'll put it away." "You were reading." He threw it across the room. "While I'm working all day, you're sitting around reading magazines." "No, I just took a short break. Don't lie to me." His voice jumped to a shout. "You think I'm stupid?" My phone buzzed. A text. Ted's head snapped toward the sound. "Give me your phone." "Ted, it's probably just..." "Give it to me now." I handed it over. He looked at the screen. His face transformed into something ugly. "Your sister. You've been talking to your sister." His hand shot out, grabbing my phone and throwing it against the wall. It shattered. "I told you, no contact." "She just sent a message. I haven't responded." "You're lying." He moved toward me. "Who are you really talking to? What are you planning?" "Nothing. I promise." His hand came up and connected with my face, a hard, vicious slap that snapped my head to the side. Pain exploded. I tasted blood from my split lip. But something happened. Something he didn't expect. I didn't crumple, didn't cry, didn't apologize. I slowly turned my head back to face him. My eyes weren't Crystal's frightened ones. They were mine. Cold, furious, done. "Wrong twin," I said quietly. Ted's confusion lasted 1 second. Then rage replaced it and his hand came up for another strike. But this time I was ready. I blocked his arm, trapped his wrist, used his momentum against him. Years of training took over. I stepped into his space, hooked my leg behind his, and flipped him. His back hit the hardwood floor, knocking the air from his lungs. Before he could recover, I dropped down, knee pressed hard against his chest, pinning him. My backup phone was out, recording. "Say it," I commanded. "Say what you've been doing to my sister." Ted's eyes went wide. He tried to buck me off, but I pressed down harder. "Get off me! You're crazy!" "Say it. Admit what you did to Crystal." "Where's my wife? What did you do with her?" "She's safe. Somewhere you'll never touch her again. Now talk." He stopped struggling, calculating. "This is insane. You're assaulting me. I could have you arrested." "Really? You want to call the police? I'd love to show them the folder in your nightstand. All that surveillance data, the tracking, the control. That's stalking, Ted. That's illegal." His face went pale. "You went through my things, just like you went through Crystal's things, every single day." He tried to buck again, got one arm free. His hand grabbed at my throat, those fingers pressing, trying to squeeze. But I wasn't Crystal. I grabbed his thumb, bent it back at an angle that made him scream. Then I had both his wrists pinned. "You like hurting people smaller than you. People who can't fight back. How does it feel now?" "She deserved it!" The words exploded out of him. "She's my wife. She's supposed to obey me." But she was always sneaking around, hiding things. I had every right to discipline her. Discipline her? Is that what you call choking her until she passed out? "She pushed me to it. If she'd just listened, none of this would have happened. I gave her everything." "You can't prove anything," he said, voice becoming calculated. "My lawyers will tear it apart. I was attacked. I said whatever I had to say. It's coercion." "You really think you're that smart?" "I know I am." Then his hand shot out, grabbed the decorative lamp from the side table. He smashed it against the floor. Sparks flew. The shade caught fire immediately. "If I can't have her," he snarled, "neither can you." The fire spread fast. The lamp oil, the fabric, the synthetic rug. It climbed the white couch, reached for the curtains. I rolled off him, away from the flames. Ted was on his feet now, between me and the front door. The fire was spreading across the floor, blocking the main hallway. "You're going to burn with this house," he shouted through smoke. "And when they find your body, it'll be Crystal's body. An accident." I backed toward the kitchen. The fire was spreading to the walls. Ted lunged at me. I sidestepped. He crashed into the counter. I ran for the back door, the patio exit. But Ted grabbed my ankle, pulled me down hard. My chin hit the floor. "You're not leaving. Nobody leaves me." I kicked back with my free leg, connected with his face. He released me. I scrambled up, threw open the patio door, stumbled outside. Behind me, the fire was roaring, consuming the house. I ran to the front yard. Neighbors were outside. Someone was calling 911. "There's someone still inside," I shouted. "He's still in there!" Sirens wailed. Fire trucks screamed into the driveway. One firefighter ran over to me. Tall, broad shoulders, gear covered in soot. "Ma'am, I'm Captain Mitchell. Are you injured?" I was coughing, my face bloody. "There's someone inside. My sister's husband. He started the fire. He tried to kill me." Captain Mitchell spoke into his radio. "Possible victim inside, northwest section. Approach with caution. Suspect may be hostile." While his crew fought the fire, I sat on the curb, shaking. Captain Mitchell crouched next to me. "Can you tell me what happened?" And so I did. While medics treated my injuries, while the house burned, I told him everything. The switch, the abuse, the evidence gathering, the confrontation, how Ted attacked me when he realized I wasn't Crystal, how he'd smashed the lamp, started the fire deliberately. "He was going to make me disappear," I said, "just like he threatened to do to my sister." "You're not Crystal," Captain Mitchell said quietly. "No, I'm Nicole, her identical twin." Shouts came from the house. 2 firefighters emerged, supporting Ted between them. Coughing, face covered in soot, clothes singed, but alive. Police officers moved in, handcuffs ready. Ted saw me and his eyes widened, then narrowed with pure hatred. "You," he choked out, "you destroyed my house." "You destroyed your house," I said. "You started that fire, and it's all on video." I held up my backup phone. Still recording. Crystal arrived with Aunt Linda around midnight. Monica Hayes came too, coordinating with police. Crystal ran to me, threw her arms around me, crying. "It's really over?" "It's really over." We watched as they loaded Ted into a police car, hands cuffed, his expensive clothes ruined, his perfect facade shattered. The fire investigation confirmed it. Ted had deliberately smashed the lamp to start the fire. The burn patterns, the point of origin, the liquor cabinet he'd knocked over earlier, creating an accelerant path. This was attempted murder. My recording survived. Every threat, every confession. Combined with the surveillance evidence, Crystal's medical records, Ted Warren faced over a dozen charges: domestic violence, assault, stalking, attempted murder, arson. His lawyers tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Ted Warren was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Crystal moved in with me for a while, started therapy, slowly rebuilt her life. 6 months later, she went back to teaching. A year later, Crystal got her own apartment. Small, safe, all hers. We were having coffee on her balcony when she said, "You walked into fire for me." "Literally," I said. She laughed, a real laugh. "I was so scared for so long. I thought I'd never be free. But you are now." "Because of you." She looked at me, her eyes clear and bright. "You gave me my life back. You had the courage to come to my door that night. I just helped you stay gone." My sister was safe. Ted was in prison where he belonged. And for the first time in 4 years, Crystal could breathe.
That was Nicole Shafer. I'm Captain Dean Mitchell, Station 47. We got the call at 9:47 p.m. Residential structure fire, flames visible from the street. When we arrived, the house was fully involved. Nicole was on the front lawn, face bloody, coughing from smoke inhalation. She told us someone was still inside her sister's husband. While my crew fought the fire, she told me everything. How she'd switched places with her identical twin to gather evidence. How Ted Warren figured it out and attacked her. How he started the fire trying to kill her when she fought back. We pulled him from the house. He survived. The investigation found Ted had smashed a lamp deliberately, starting the fire. He'd knocked over his liquor cabinet earlier, creating an accelerant path. This was calculated attempted murder. Nicole's recording survived. Every threat, every confession, combined with the surveillance evidence, GPS tracking, monitored messages, controlled bank accounts, and Crystal's medical records, Ted Warren is serving 15 years. I've been fighting fires for 18 years. I've seen what people do when they're cornered, when they're willing to destroy everything rather than lose control. But I've also seen what people do when they refuse to be victims, when they fight back, when they walk into fire to save someone they love. Nicole Shafer switched places with her twin to save her sister's life. And when Ted Warren tried to burn the truth away, she walked through his fire and carried that truth out with her. Violence always leaves evidence, and eventually the truth comes to light, even if you have to walk through fire to get it. If you're in a situation like Crystal's, there are people who will help. Domestic violence hotlines, advocates, shelters. You don't have to face it alone. And if you're watching someone you love being destroyed, trust your instincts. Sometimes being willing to act is what saves lives. I'm Captain Dean Mitchell, Station 47. Stay safe out there.